Okay. What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 8 of Value Town. I'm your host, ChanManV, and we've got our special guest today. But before we do that, I've got my co-host each and every week, Mr. Trump, and Mr. Kripparrian over here. What's up, fellas?
Hey.
Trump, they're gonna claim that audio is not working because you're like lip syncing. I'm gonna be like, oh shit. But we got our guest today, who is a former top WoW TCG player, and he's also been winning some Hearthstone tournaments in the community like MLG and ESL. He's the ranked number 1 ESL player right now. He's none other than Gnimsh. What's going on?
Hey guys, it's good to be here again. I mean, for
again,
the first time.
Again, did I miss something?
I was almost here last week, right?
Oh, that's true. That's true. You were. You almost saved us
about.
last week, but
Yeah.
Oh, was that when I slept in?
yeah, that was.
Yeah, totally, man.
He was your sub, man. He was coming off the bench. He was taking off his warm-ups and stuff, like ready to come in the game. And then I was like, no, we got to sit you back down, dude, because...
Oh, man.
I was already shaved, and then you appeared. And,
I know. Exactly. But today, guys, we got lots of fun stuff ready. It's going to be a Shaman day. But we're going to start things off by talking a couple of things in the news about Hearthstone, and then we'll get into the Shaman cards, talk a little bit about just some Shaman decks that are kind of popular right now in Constructed, and then we'll get into our fun Build-A-Deck segment where we all build a Shaman deck together by each taking turns picking cards, and everybody was like criticizing that Warlock deck we made last time, and that Warlock deck, I think, combined with all the people that I know that played it, was like 20-3 or something. So, we still make good decks on this show, even if they are for fun. And lastly, we're gonna be doing Q&A. You guys can post your questions in the Reddit thread, in this Reddit thread here, and then we'll try to take a few, and then we'll end things with the giveaway. We're gonna be giving away another 20 keys today, and lots of you guys entered into this giveaway.
Getting these? What?
Am I getting you? Blizzard, man.
So many
Blizzard.
keys.
Blizzard's so
Dude,
awesome.
We asked for keys. We got one from the Blizzard devs.
Dude, man. What can you say? What can you say? Value Town, right? But, yeah. So anyways, be ready for that, guys. And then we'll do another giveaway next week. And I'll give you details on that at the end of the show. But, okay, let's start off with some news. 2 things that I think were worth mentioning is there's a tournament that's coming up, I think in 2 weeks. That's going to be a team tournament. It's going to be a team format, and it's marketed as China versus NA right now, but there's a lot of Europeans that are going to be in the qualifier, so I kind of think of it as China versus the world. But it's the 2p.com tournament. It's going to be 4-on-4. Basically, the 4 top players in each of the qualifiers will battle it out in a finals that I believe is December 7th. Our 2 guys here, Trump and Krip, will be casting it, right, guys?
Yup.
And then me and Gnimsh are going to be trying to play in it. And there's a chance I might cast in it too, but I want to play in it. All right, so that's like my biggest focus. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think of the event? 5,000 prize, I think, right? Prize pool.
I think the reason they said it was NA versus China instead of like the world versus China is because NA is master race. Europe cannot compete. I'm sorry, Gnimsh, you're not going to make it.
Oh, seriously,
boy.
man.
Oh, boy.
This is low.
What?
Dude,
SoCal here.
SoCal. He's SoCal.
Well, in a different direction, it does have a $5,000 prize pool, and that's really impressive. So, way to go them for hosting a tournament like that.
Yeah, and
I think like this will be the biggest tournament with a lot of top players interested and playing this year, probably. Because like the interest is immense. Like a lot of people are talking about it because of the prize pool, and they are trying to get in by all means. So
yeah, there are a lot of players that a lot of the community hasn't even heard about either. So so hopefully we'll get a chance to see some of these players too, kind of rise to the top and then get some exposure too for their great play. But yeah, I'm really excited too. Both teams are going to be. I think first place is like 3,300, and second, and the other team will get something like, I don't know, 1,200 or 1,300. So. It's a pretty decent amount of cash for Hearthstone for everybody participating in it. So definitely look out for that, guys. I don't know the actual link to the event off the top of my head right now, but check it out. We'll talk about it again probably next week because there'll be another week
I have
before
it.
the actual event.
I
Okay,
can
go ahead
paste
and
it in
link
chat,
that
no
there.
worries.
Yeah. So really cool. Lots of people prepping for it right now, like just around the community. So you'll definitely see more on it, I think, on Reddit and stuff. The next bit of news is kind of tied in with yesterday's big WCS news with StarCraft, is that OGN, who's always been a big StarCraft proponent, is not going to be doing StarCraft, or at least not WCS this coming year. So instead, they're going to be doing Hearthstone, is what they've announced. There's no details as to what they're going to be doing. I think except for maybe they're going to be doing some entertaining shows and maybe some events. But that's pretty cool that a big organization, especially one that has always been a big part of StarCraft 2, is actually going to be taking Hearthstone. I know, Gnimsh, you have some opinions on that. What do you think of OGN getting into Hearthstone?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. It's like another step into making Hearthstone an esport, and we'll see how it goes. But still, like, it's a manifest that another organization is interested in investing into Hearthstone and some players. So even if they keep it like within Korea, I think it's still good because some players maybe can travel to Korea and stay there and play Hearthstone like professionally. So, however, it ends up like it's a good move for us Hearthstone players for sure.
Yeah, for those of you not familiar with OGN, they're the ones that are responsible, or they're the organization that puts like StarCraft 2 on TV. You know, it was basically on TV in Korea, and and they're responsible for the biggest league, especially the Brood War League at the time, which is Pro League. So it's pretty big. Like, I'm really curious as to what they'll do, and if it'll be online or if they're going to actually bring people to Korea and do that sort of it. It's going to be pretty interesting.
That's business for sure. So whatever there's money, that's good.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's get into the cards, guys. You guys ready? Shaman cards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Krip,
Hey.
what do you think of the Shaman race, just to get things going, get things started?
Well, in Arena, I see a lot of them as fairly equal, except Mage, which plays unfairly with the hero ability and Flame Strike. But in Constructed, anytime I play a Shaman, I'm just kind of annoyed and usually end up winning.
Really? Wow. Trump, what do you think in Arena?
Wow. I look at my stats, but I think Shaman is one of my higher class stats. So I think it's strong, especially because they have some super strong class cards. Some of the strongest in the game.
Okay. And then Gnimsh?
I totally agree. Like, Shaman is one of the top classes in the Arena for me as well. If you know what cards to pick, you can build a really strong Shaman. Even if you don't hit like a couple fire elementals because you just don't get a choice to get there, it can still be a very strong deck. So, totally.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let's get into these cards. And, well, since we have 3 today, I can't do like left and right business here. So I'm just gonna have to track the order here. So we'll start with Trump and then go Trump, Gnimsh, Krip, and then cycle through.
Sure.
All right, so Trump, I know you love healing cards, so I saved Ancestral Healing. I kick off Ancestral Healing with you, Trump. What do you think of it?
So I'm going to say that there are really good Shaman cards. There are also some of the worst Shaman cards, or some of the worst cards known to man. I see 2 of them on this screen right now. Ancestral Healing is one of them. It doesn't do enough. It's pretty much a never pick. I would probably pick I'd pick anything over it.
Anything over
Except
it. Wow.
Totemic Might. I would not pick Totemic Might over it. I'd pick Ancestral Healing over Totemic Might. Anyways.
Yeah, Totemic Might I think is worse than Ancestral Healing. But okay, what do you guys think? Krip, what do you think of this card?
It's pretty bad. I mean, I have seen it used like once or twice. Because when you play Arena, often you can't really deal with like a super crazy legendary. And then sometimes it gets ancestrally healed. But that's happened like maybe twice. So yeah, this is a card you just want to stay away from.
All right, Gnimsh, any different thoughts?
No different thoughts. I totally agree. Like, this card needs a specific setup on the board to actually work. On the other times, it just does not work. But interesting thing to mention with regards to this card is that if you happen to pick it because you like didn't have anything else to pick, you can actually heal your opponent's minion. If I read the card correctly, yeah, restore minions to full health. So you can heal your opponent's minion and give it taunt. So in a very specific environment, there is a chance that you can actually decide if they have a taunter, and if they have a minion that doesn't have taunt, and if you want to attack that minion without taunt, you can give it taunt and then attack it. So that's the shenanigan you can do with this card.
Wow.
If you ever pick it,
The
but
plays.
please don't.
The
This card is
plays.
bad. Don't pick it.
What about the?
You've just made a bunch of people play the card, and that's now the dream.
Probably.
You've caused
Yes,
them to
probably.
dream.
Dude, what about the injured Blade Master ancestral healing play? I mean, that was so big with the
real
priest.
talk, that might actually be good.
I know. I mean, everybody's talking about the priest, right? With the whole Artosis showing that, right?
You just
And-
not, you're
But
not
we're talking about
one.
arena, not
I
constructed.
know.
Blade Masters are rare. You might get one, maybe two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In arena, it's unlikely.
Okay. Let's move on. Totemic Might, Gnimsh.
Okay, Totemic Might. So this is like the same card. So you play it, and it's even worse. You play it, and it does nothing, and then it needs a specific setup on board to actually work. And even if you have the specific setup, it doesn't work anyway. So I think it will really need an effect like draw a card, because then you can cycle it. But right now, it doesn't at all. Maybe in the future, if they add more cards and add some shenanigans with the totems, maybe in constructed, but in arena, I don't see it right now at all.
It could be too powerful if you added like add
It
a
might,
card here.
so it's not like a strong suggestion, but still, like, this card is junk for now, totally.
If you don't think so, Trump? If you added like draw a card to this card, you would be giving 2
Well,
health to
yeah, that would
potentially
be-
2 units.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually a good fix, though. You
Yeah.
pump the mana cost up to 1, and you add draw a card. It's a really good solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Krip?
Since we're dreaming about ancestral healing, I think we should dream about Totemic Might. I think I have seen this play once. The Totemic Might dream is cast Totem, get Taunt Totem, play the Searing Totem, and then a Mana Tide, and then Totemic Might. Whoa, the dream. Alright.
Whoa.
I've seen this card played once as well. It was like you were talking about it, Krip, I think, on one of your vlogs, that when I see Totemic Might, it's like a treasure goblin. So
Yep.
when somebody, yeah, totally.
Easy win.
Easy win. Oh gosh. All right. Let's move on. Earthshock, Krip, kick us off.
Earthshock's fine. It's kind of one of those cards where often it doesn't do enough, but it does get rid of some popular cards that are very annoying, like the Scarlet Crusader and Twilight Drake. So it's not bad. I don't pick it that much anymore. I don't really value Silence that much anymore. But I wouldn't be surprised if the other guys disagreed. I have seen it used to great effect.
All right. Trump, what do you think?
I've sort of started to rank cards in a percentile system. I have like 25, 50, 75%. I have this as the bottom 25 percentile. It doesn't do quite enough, and it's better than the pre-silence card, but that's in the bottom 5 percentile. It just doesn't do enough. It's really good against certain specific cards, but
Yeah.
overall not good.
Gnimsh?
Well, I agree, because like this card is on the arena, it's not that good. In constructed, it's amazing, I think. So, like in the arena, mostly you value cards higher because you need cards that do something when you draw them. So Earthshock also needs a specific situation where it can give you a very little value, even no value at all. But sometimes it can be good, but that's not enough for a very good pick. And in constructed, it's like one of the answers that you are having in your deck, and sometimes you really want to draw it. And also it answers a lot of very popular minions that people play right now. So it's a good answer to it's the best answer to Scarlet Crusader. It's a good answer to Harvest Golem, and a lot of different cards that really you need to silence them. If you do 1 damage, it's even better. So in constructed, I've valued higher. In the arena, it's okay to have 1 probably, but I would probably pick something else in the common slot.
Okay. Next up, we got Fork Lightning. Gnimsh?
Okay, so Fork Lightning, it has a very high overload cost, but it's a very good card, I think, in both like constructed in the arena, because for one, you can, if you have a good setup, you can really like do 2-for-1 very easily, kill 2 minions. Also, like Shaman has a lot of access to the spell damage guys, like you have spell damage totem, and it's easier to pick something with spell damage. So Fork Lightning can really shine this deck. And it's not a problem if in the arena mostly guys have a lot of minions on board, like from 2 to 4. So it's easier to use this in the arena even than in constructed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Krip.
It's a good card. I don't know. It's good. It's like kind of better than a cleave. I know Trump loves this card, at least the last time I talked to him about it. But I don't know. I don't like Forked Lightning. I don't like getting overloaded. I feel like dropping consistent big ass creatures. Like it's turn 4, you need a Yeti, you need a Dark Iron. It's turn 5, you need Silverhand Knight. You don't want to drop a Worgen on turn 5. So I really don't like it that much, but I will pick 1 or 2 just in case I get overwhelmed at the beginning.
Okay.
Alright, so I think this card is sort of like the middle ground between Cleave from Warrior and Multi-Shot from Hunter, and both those cards are pretty good. It's sort of in between because Fork Lightning is Multi-Shot if you have the spell damage totem in play, and it's Cleave if you don't. And if you actually... Multi-Shot's a great card, and if you actually have a spell damage totem in play, Fork Lightning is really, really good. So I've actually had a lot of time, like, I used to think it was good, and then I started to think it was mediocre. Now I'm sort of back in the camp where I sort of think it's good. Top 50 percentile.
Okay. Next up, we have Frost Shock. Grip. Frost Shock. This is the only freeze, right, that Shaman has.
I've picked it like once or twice, and out of the times that I picked it, it had like 1 good use. But yeah, most of these low casting cost cards just don't do enough. And this really falls into that category. There's really not much to say, not much strategy here.
Okay. Trump?
I agree. It's worse than Earth Shock.
Worse than Earth Shock, okay. Gnimsh, any other comments?
Yeah, totally. I agree as well. Like, freeze is a very cool mechanic, but it really shines in Mage, because in Mage you can push with damage, and you are playing as a temple player mostly, so you try to build up momentum and kill your opponent as soon as possible. So if you freeze something along the way, you give yourself more time to actually pyroblast them or fireball them or whatever. In Shaman, you're mostly trying to build board position and then like play a bloodlust or something. So Frost Shock is like the freezing does nothing, and 1 damage is also like a wasted card in this case. So yeah, worse than Earth Shock basically.
Okay. All right. Next up, we got Lightning Bolt. Trump.
Card's really good. It's a early solution. Even if it was 2 mana deal damage, it would be quite good. It's generally better than that. Hooray. Lightning Bolt.
All right. Gnimsh.
This card is OP. It's just too good. It's like 3 damage for 1 mana. Overload 1 does nothing. Like it's not a disadvantage at all. And if you can kill, like if they play turn 4, they play Spellbreaker, and then you just kill it for 1 mana. It feels like cheating. So yeah, Lightning Bolt is a great card.
Feels like cheating. Totally. Grip?
I'd like to add that I think it's a great card, but I think you could just have like too many of them. Like I have had decks where I think I'm at 3, but maybe even at 2, and I start picking cards that I wouldn't value quite as much. But they're right. It's a very good removal. Overload 1 is not really that big of a deal. Overload 2 is a big deal. So it's a good card. You pick it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you get a spell damage totem, so it's even better because then you can bump it to 4 and make even better trades. So yeah,
that's true. Rockbiter. Gnimsh.
Well, it's a good card, that's for sure. It gives you like early answer if they play something, you can kill it with the Rockbiter. I'm not sure. Like, I think in constructed it might be a bit stronger because you can combine it with different cards. Like you can combine it with Wind Fury if you have some in your deck. You can combine it with the Doomhammer. But mostly it's in constructed. It serves like in the play mode. It serves as an answer to the early drops. In the arena, I didn't have as much experience with this card. I think it's still fine because like you can kill something for 1 mana. You can kill something, but you still take damage. So like you pay with life and 1 mana to kill something on board. So it can give you an advantage, but I'm not sure how many I would have in my deck in the arena. Like I think 1 is fine, 2 probably, 3 too much.
Okay.
I think when it comes to Rockbiter, you got to compare it to Lightning Bolt, and I think it's better than Lightning Bolt. I think taking the damage is not really a big deal. I much rather just not get overloaded in the early game, because if you have board control on a Shaman, it can be pretty hard to lose it unless you get board wiped by like a Flame Strike or something. So I don't know. I would pick like if anywhere along the arena selection it was Rockbiter versus Lightning Bolt, I would go Rockbiter every single time.
Okay. Yeah, it has more versatility too. Yeah, for sure. Trump.
I think the two cards are very highly comparable. Krip earlier spoke that he wouldn't pick more than, say, 2 or 3 lightning bolts. I'd say I would pick up to 4, maybe even 5 of a combined light bolt rockbiter weapon. I think of the two as almost the same card.
Wow.
Yes, like Rockbiter is better early game probably because you're not being overloaded, but then Lightning Bolt is better in late game because you don't care about the overload and it can like kill something through taunt because with Rockbiter you can attack if there is taunter. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Dust Devils next. Trump?
This card, well, it suffers from the 1 health problem that most of the 1 mana minions face in Arena and Constructed. Just that a lot of hero powers remove it for free. And even if you play it on turn 1, your opponent can, if they're a hero power that deals 1 damage, just remove it with a coin. And then you skip turn 2. So even in the best case scenario where you drop it on turn 1, it's bad against a third of the classes. And some of those classes are more popular. Slicers, Mage. So overall, bad card.
Okay. Gnimsh?
Well, I've seen. I mean, overall, this card is bad because it has only 1 health and it overloads me for 2. So in most case scenario, you will just play it and it will die and it will be overloaded. So
Yeah.
it really is a bad card. One game, one player was able to actually kill me with it because he played it turn 1. Then turn 2, I wasn't able to kill it, and turn 3 he like buffed it with 2 Rockbiters, I think, and dealt a lot of damage. So, but that was a
Right.
gimmicky play, and it shouldn't have happened. So. Overall, it's just a bad card. In both arena and constructed, you will never play it.
Krip?
I mean, I'm not going to disagree. It's obviously not a very good card, but the Dust Devil Dream is going
Here we
second.
go.
Dust Devil coin Dust Devil, and then on 3 you do
Total Tiny Light, baby.
yeah
You play
you do
Rockbiters.
this you do the totem, and then you do a rock bite, and then you win the game. It's Shaman turn 3 win. There it is.
OMG,
Not bad,
mind blown.
Not bad.
Yeah.
All right, next up we
It's
got.
like cheating because you overload 4 on turn 2.
Yep.
This
That's
system,
true.
yo.
That's true, actually.
Game
I didn't think
for
about
sure.
that. Oh man, that's killer. Okay, next up we got the first Shaman weapon, which is Stormforged Axe. Has a little bit of overload, but Gnimsh, I think you're first, right?
Okay, so Stormforged Axe is awesome. When I'm not seeing it, when I'm drafting, like picking cards in the arena for Shaman, I'm really sad. So I mostly want to have like 2, 3 might be too much, but I really want to have 2 in my deck because it's a great answer for 3/2s that my opponent can have. It's good in the early game. Overload for 1 doesn't hurt that much because on turn 3 you can always use a hero power and get a totem. Then like late game, it's still like an okay weapon. You can use it 3 times, so it's like 6 damage for 2. So yeah, it's a very good card, and it combines with Rockbiter and whatever you have.
Yeah. Grip?
pretty good. In Arena, there's kind of a limit to them because I think I've had a few rounds where I have like 4 or 5 of these, and you just keep drawing into them, and you don't really give a crap about killing the opponent, but you're sitting on like 2 in your hand. You're like, well, I might as well attack the opponent. So, uh, there's a limit to how many you want in a deck, but I feel that this is a card that, given the current meta and constructed, it's pretty outrageous because it actually kills any creature in 1 hit when you play constructed. Um, so a little bit better there, but still very, very strong, top tier in Arena.
All right, Trump, final thoughts on it?
Code 1 is a really big deal, actually, because you usually build your arena to have a 2-drop and a 3-drop, and this kills your 3-drop, but hopefully you have a 2-drop with it. I actually find a lot of the time that I'm unable to play it on turn 2 just because it would wreck my curve. That said, it's a really good card. Like 10% of cards.
10%. Wow. Okay. Oh, that's right. You're doing percentile. That's cool. All right. Next up, we got Ancestral Spirit, which is a card I've actually tried to play around with. But Krip, what do you think?
This card is awesome, but it is a situational card, so it doesn't work in every deck. And you don't want too many because, well, you don't want too many situational cards in general because then you can just draw a hand with like, Ancestral Spirit, Totemic Might, and Ancestral Healing, and then what do you do?
Super
Killer,
combo.
baby. The dream.
That's Shaman.
Yeah,
Who does that?
but the way that you use this card, or the way that I would use this card, is you have a big creature. They play a big creature. You play Ancestral Spirit, and then you run your big creature into their big creature, and then bam, 2 mana, late game tempo advantage. GG. That's the idea.
I think that's actually the only way to play this card. There's no other.
Well, I have seen it used defensively, where they do like turn 8 Sunwalker, Ancestral Spirit, but then you're playing a
Silent.
very risky game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little bit worse. It's better than Redemption in a way, but it's worse because it's just everything on that single minion there. Trump, what do you think?
That was well put, Krip.
Okay.
Damn.
All right.
Side.
That's it? All right, cool.
That time value.
Yeah. I think I need to add something like this card. This card is okay when you look at it for the first time, like okay, but then, like Krip said, there's a couple of conditions. So first, you need to have a big dude on the board. Then you have to have Ancestral Spirit. Then he has to have a dude that you can trade with, and both will die, so that you can like respawn your dude. So there are 3 conditions for the card to work. In other ways, it's not that good. So I'll probably pick something else over it if there is a rare to pick, because it's a rare. So it's like for a rare, it's a really bad card. For like overall, probably can be used, but as a rare, it's like not good.
Okay. Next up, we got Wind Fury. Trump, you're going to lead us off with Wind Fury.
Alright, I think the card sucks. It doesn't do enough. It serves a similar purpose as Mind Blast. It deals average 5 damage if you're hitting the opponent with it. Now Wind Fury has a little more flexibility than that, but I think not enough to make this a good card. So I actually have it on the bottom 10% of cards.
Okay. Gnimsh?
Yeah, the same. Like this card is again situational. The problem is with Wind Fury, like if you have a guy to give Wind Fury to, they can't have a taunt, because if they have a taunt that kills your guy, then like your Wind Fury does nothing. So mostly in the arena you value cards higher if they do something when you play them. Wind Fury again needs to set up on the table, so I wouldn't pick it.
One of those classic situational cards that Krip loves, right? What do you think about Wind Fury, Krip?
Yeah, there's a lot of situational Shaman cards. Considering most of them are awful, as far as situational cards go, this is average. But that doesn't say much. Though lately, playing Arena, the large bulk of my losses are against decks that just rush me down. And this is one of the cards that I've seen used to that effect. So, I don't know, maybe in some decks it's a little bit better than others. But I haven't had too much luck using it.
Okay. Flame Tongue Totem, which is pretty much a staple for Shaman decks. Where are we? We are on... Oh no, wait. Did we lead with... No, we ended with you there. So, Gnimsh, I think you're first here.
Yeah, so
Yes, go.
Flame Tongue Totem. Okay, so Flame Tongue Totem is a great card in both Arena and Constructed, I think, because Shaman as a class, which like it gets free dudes on the board because of the hero power, so you can always use Flame Tongue, and buffing your own guys can give you valuable trades so that you can kill something without losing your minion. Like you don't have to. If for example, if they play like Senjin's Shieldmaster, if you have a free, you can use this totem to actually buff your guy and kill Shieldmaster without like killing him with 2 minions. So it gives you a lot. It's like a very good offensive card. Can be used as if you're losing, it's probably bad. If the like board state is more or less in equilibrium, you can use it to your advantage. It's only bad if you're losing, but in most cases, like Shaman always has something on board. So I pretty like this card.
All right, Krip.
I think this is a situational card, even though some people might disagree. But it is like top tier situational card. So getting a couple is pretty good. I remember drafting a deck with like 4 of these, and it was horrible. So
That's
proves the
that's
point
totally
that
too much.
That's fun though, man. That's fun.
there is a limit. While they
There is
seem strong in pairs, the second one to go down isn't so resilient.
Yeah. Trump, what you think?
Well, this card is actually one that I think is overrated, and I actually have it in the bottom 50% of cards, which is probably a bit of a shock.
Okay.
So the idea is, right, as Gnimsh says, that this card is really bad when losing. Actually, I don't think he emphasizes it quite enough, because it's a 0-3 if you're losing. And
Yeah, totally.
it really sucks when that happens. If it's a great card if you're winning, because it really cements the win. I always argue if you're winning already, you probably don't need it, and it's pretty good if you're about even. Now the problem with this card is even if you're about even and you play it and say like you have the dream, you have a 0-2 totem out, which is standard, and they have a 3-2. Let's say like it's turn 3 or something. You play the Flame Tongue totem, and then you swing your 2-2 into their 3-2. And it's like, oh right, Flame Tongue totem managed to trade your useless totem for their 3-2. That's great. But then they play like a turn 3-3 or something, which is standard, and then you have nothing. Now one would argue that you usually wouldn't play Flame Tongue totem situation, but even in that situation, which you're slightly behind, it's not that good, even though it has some use. So the long story short is I think it's slightly below average, but I would pick it over many cards still.
I think it's actually a bit better in Constructed when you have a controlled deck structure, so that you know what cards do you have. Like you're playing Novice Engineer that you can buff to like a 3-2. You're playing for Spirit, and then you just bump it between the spirits. So in Constructed, it shines a bit more, and in the Arena, I mostly agree with you. So
I remember talking to Trump about this card when we started doing the talk about the picks thing, and he valued it really highly then. And I brought up points of, well, it's kind of useless if you're losing. And then, well, I lost a few games because I had like 3 of these in my hand and nothing else. But I think Trump kind of underrated the value of if you're slightly ahead. If you're slightly ahead and you play this card, you'll like crush the opponent's board. So I just think it's a situational card, and if people understand what that means, then yeah, it can be used to great effect. But sometimes it's useless.
it's
Moving
controversial.
Controversial. Okay.
Well put, Krip. In fact, I would even go as far as to say that if you listen in your opening hand, it's usually right to mulligan it. Flame Tongue Totem. I actually gave Krip that like a month back. Like, oh yeah, keep that Flame Tongue Totem in your hand. It's a great card. And it was not a good advice.
Okay. Let's move on to Farsight, which is interesting card because you're able to draw a card, so it's kind of got an interesting dynamic. I remember talking to you about it last time, Trump, and you actually thought it was the value of it was kind of interesting. I kind of changed my mind about it. I wonder what you think about it right now. Krip, I start off with you though. What do you think?
This is the Holy Wrath equivalent in the Shaman deck. It is YOLO.
Yeah, yeah.
Is the YOLO card. I like it. I've played it a few times. In fact, I think I've had several arena drafts where I've had two.
Two. Okay.
It's
Two of them.
Two
yeah.
of them.
Yep. It's very disappointing when you get a lightning bolt. But I have dreamed of it a few times, and the dream is coin Farsight turn 3 Fire Elemental. I've done that a few times in Arena, and I've done like a turn 3 Lord of the Arena. And, you know, backed up with some cards to follow, you can just win the game straight out. So it is a very hilarious card. But if you're looking for consistency, it's probably not the best.
Trump?
Well, that was actually really well played. I'll go ahead and say the worst case scenario with it, which is why it doesn't suck that much, is, well, okay, worst case scenario is pretty bad. You draw a lightning bolt with it, and you basically lose 2 mana, and you find that mana up front. So that's real bad. But on average, you're going to get something that costs 3, one would say, because that's about the average mana deck. And in which case, you've basically spent 0 mana to draw a card net. However, it's not that easy because spending the mana up front is real bad. In essence, I think it's an average card.
All right, Gnimsh?
Like, for all the variants that it can have, it ultimately turns out to be, like, mediocre, average, right about the 50%. Yep.
Yeah, I think this card is a trap. So it might be fun. It might be fun to play, but then like you don't control your deck that much to actually play it. If you get a dream like Krip, that's probably fine. But in most cases, like I would be afraid to actually spend 3 mana to get a random card that might be cheaper, and maybe I'll be stuck and I will lose the turn. So also like in the arena, you'll probably get 2 more epics to choose from. So.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm never picking this card because of that. It's random and it's too gimmicky, I think. And in constructed also I wouldn't include it for now at least, because you lose 3 mana and you don't know what you get. So I don't think I don't feel like this is worth it.
I'd actually disagree and say that there are a number of complete trash epic picks that you can get in Arena. And because of that, I've run into this card several times, where it's like Farsight, Hungry Crab, and like Bloodsail Captain or something
Come
like
on,
that.
the crab is awesome.
And then it's the Bloodsail Captain or whatever it's called versus the Farsight. And because it's close, I usually go with the Farsight because it's more interesting.
Yeah, you can always do something at least with Farsight probably. Yeah, but that's the only reason to pick it really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you make it a conscious pick? No.
Oh yeah, Doomsayer's in there too. God, there's some epic cards that are so awful.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Feral Spirit. Feral Spirit, Trump, you take this one.
Yeah, card's fantastic. It's the only way, well, one of the ways that in 3 you can have 4 or 6 worth of stuff. 4 attacks, 6. It's okay to play it on turn 3 because the follow-up turn you can do a totem. However, there's usually better times to play it, like right after you play something valuable, then you have to taunts. And when you have the mana, it's 5 mana for a 4/6, which is pretty good. Especially there's some sort of time value of mana where the earlier mana is more important than the later mana, so you play it and you enjoy a boost early and you start the snowball effect. It's great.
Okay. Gnimsh, what do you think?
I totally agree. Actually, this card in WoW TCG, we had the same card. It was for 4, and it was creating 2 spirits, 4/4 with Sont. And the card was totally overpowered. And right now in Hearthstone, it's been tuned down a bit, but it's still, I think, a bit overpowered. Like, okay, it might be not overpowered, but the card is really strong in both constructed and in both the arena, because you mostly get like a 2-for-1 because of the spirits. Like every time I play the spirits, I feel like my opponent is like, ah, how can I deal with this? Because there are no easy ways to deal with this. And I'm the same. Like when I'm playing against the Shaman, I'm always like, they play for a split, and I'm like, okay, what do I do now? So yeah, the card is very strong.
All right, Krip. Kind of curious to hear like how many Feral Spirits you've had in your hand at one point, or how many you've played consecutively.
I don't like this card that much actually.
Okay. Alright.
I pick it because I mean they think it's strong, so obviously it has some nice spots. But I don't know. I just don't really like it that much. It's good that it is a 3, and most 3 drops are awful. But you know, the following turn you have to drop a 2 instead of a 4, and the 4s are like the money for Arena. That's where it's at. And because of that, I don't really like this card too much. Maybe it's the way that I build the decks. I think if I build a more aggressive deck, it'd be better. But usually, when I pick this card and play it, it acts as a very expensive mirror image.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah,
Pretty big difference between that.
I just end up not playing it early game. I play it on like turn 8, and it just like chumps.
Right. Any last thoughts on this card? Anybody?
I probably advise you to play it early game as well, because then it's overpowered.
Okay.
Like late game probably, but then yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing
All
else.
right. Moving on, we got the one card kill. I guess card for Shaman,
Frog.
which is Hex the Frog. Gnimsh, what do you think?
I love it. So it's a hard removal card, which means that whatever they have, it works. And like every player in Hearthstone should really value this card very very high. The things that it's a hard removal, so it deals with every minion you want to deal with, but also it creates a 0/1, which is better than a 1/1, because if you compare it to Polymorph, if you give them a 1/1, they can always trade with something, and with 0/1 they can't. So that's the one value of the card. And another is like, if you really are in need of a taunter, you can hex something on your side so that you get a taunt out of it. So and like for free mana is great. So, and it's even like the art is awesome. Like giving them a frog, it's on top of it, like a cherry on top of it. So yeah, I love this card.
The
Dude,
bonus.
I like how when he was talking about hexing his own creature, someone like threw up in the background. Like, did you guys hear that? Oh, there it goes again. See? Got it.
All right, what do you
That's
think,
right.
Hex, Krip?
Hex is OP. You gotta pick it. I've actually never had a deck with like way too many hexes, so I couldn't speak on that front, but I'd imagine it'd go pretty well.
Okay.
OP.
Trump.
Yeah, this is the best hard removal in Hearthstone. Incredible card. Although I would still pick Fire Elemental over it.
Okay.
You sure? You know, it's green, like Razor Gear, so you should actually probably take Hex.
It's green and blue, man. Like the Sprite can, dude. That's like, it's money right there. Money.
And it's a beast.
It's a beast.
Yes, it's a beast. Yeah, it's an actual beast.
That's right. That's right. Okay, next up, Lava Burst. Direct damage. This is the other direct damage spell, right? Because outside of lightning. What do you think of this, Krip?
I haven't picked it too many times.
Really? Huh?
Yeah,
Well, I guess, yeah,
It looks-
arena, yeah.
it looks good. It's just that I don't know. I usually like to just pick a creature rather than that. Like, if somehow the game bugged and it was Lava Burst or Chillwind Yeti, I would go the Chillwind Yeti personally. But it might be the way that I play. I can see Lava Burst being very useful.
Okay, Tron?
It's a good card. It's pretty plain. Deals 5 damage. Woo. It's good. That's about all I can say about it.
Okay. Gnimsh?
Well, I can add that like Lava Burst is almost like Fireball. It
it's pretty cool.
deals it's like one mana cheaper. It still deals 5 damage instead of 6, so it's a very good card there. It's a removal card because you can kill a minion, but on the other hand, it's also like a spell card, so you can push with damage. Probably in constructed, I will value it a bit higher, because in a lot of Shaman decks, you'll get a setup, and then you can push with Lava Burst. Like, it will give you reach, because you can kill your opponent above their taunters. So even if they have like a taunting setup, you can kill them anyway. And in constructed, you probably get more spell damage than in the arena, but still, like, this card is above okay, let's say.
This card is not better than Fireball, in my opinion.
Well, it costs more
It's
mana.
not better.
It actually
it's like
costs
on the
more
same
mana.
level, I think.
It actually costs 1 more mana, right? Just overall, just with the overload. But
Yeah, but
Pretty
you can't
close.
really
Pretty
do
close.
overload as like 1 mana.
I mean,
But still, it's one of those spells which you would pretty much never play on turn 3. Like, there are some times
Yes.
where it's right, but you almost never do it. I would overall say it is worse than Fireball, if I were to do a direct comparison.
Yeah, I agree. It's worse than Fireball, but it's like really close.
I mean, Fireball is good too, so calling it worse than Fireball isn't exactly an insult.
yeah. Okay, next up we got Lightning Storm. Kind of the board clear, the big board clear for Shaman. What do you think, Tron?
This card's really good, so I think it's better than Consecration, which is a really good board clear. And it's better because Shamans often have the ability to get a spell damage totem into play, and then it's guaranteed 3 damage, and sometimes 4. And even if you sometimes need to gamble it up and say your opponent has like 3 minions, some of which have 3 life, and you somehow don't have a spell damage totem, it's still good. Sometimes you'll get one.
Yeah. You seem to always get one right when you need it, too. It works out really, really nice. Gnimsh, what do you think?
Isn't it like the best AoE card in the game right now?
Ooh,
Because
I
it
don't
only
know.
costs 3 mana, and you deal 2 to 3, and also, like Trump said, you can often get a spell damage totem, so you boost it to 3 and 4, just for 3 mana. You obviously get overloaded, but if you like clear the board, so the next turn your opponent needs to play like a single minion, this card is so good. I think in both arena and constructed.
Well, how do you guys rank it? Where do you guys think Lightning Storm is on the scale of board clearing cards? We've kind of talked about others, right, in the past. This card's never come up actually in those discussions.
it's one of the best. I mean, the reason why it's kind of like a non-argument is because Shaman doesn't really have any other, and Shaman needs it because more than likely, if you're playing Arena as a Shaman, you're playing a board-controlled deck. So, I
Yeah,
don't know. It's what you got. If you see it in the rare slot, that's what you pick.
it's what you get.
Yeah, totally.
Trump, how would you rank it?
Well, that said, though, if I had to pick from all the area of effect, I would say this is number 2 behind Swipe.
Number 2. Why didn't this ever come up then? We never talked about Lightning Storm. We always talked about like Blizzard and Nova and stuff like that. Okay.
Let's hear it for Swipe! Woo!
Swipe. Nice.
I think I'll probably vote for Lightning Storm because I prefer Shaman, but a Swipe is really close as well.
Okay. All right. Next up, we got Mana Tide Totem, and Trump. I
yeah.
think kick us off with Mana Tide Totem.
Okay, I think this, well, I'll state the obvious. This card is really bad if you're losing because it's 3 mana, draw a card, gain 3 life. Actually, that doesn't sound too bad when I say that in my head, but it's still quite bad. If you draw 2 cards off of it, then it's slightly acceptable. And if you somehow draw more, then that's great. So the situations where you draw more than 1 card is generally when you're winning, which is what leads me to say that I dislike Mana Tide Totem. I've even seen it in some constructed decks, and I still dislike it there. In Arena, I think you can't really consistently keep it on the board enough. It's great to play it against an empty board since you'll usually draw 2 cards off of it, which is great. Which happens sometimes, but I don't like these cards where you have to be average or like where you have to be on par or winning for it to be a good card.
Right, Gnimsh?
So I think like it would be good to compare this card to Acolyte of Pain. Acolyte of Pain for free, I get a 1/3 dude, which will probably draw me from 1 to 3 cards to on average. The Mana Tide Totem is like I get a 0/3 dude, which probably will draw one card. I mean, one card for sure, but then it's still an 0-3. So in the arena, I probably don't value it much. I don't value it high. Like, it's a card that it's probably okay to take it if you don't have any other interesting rare, but then it's not that good. In constructed, you can build a deck like a bit around it with a lot of taunters, but still there are so many answers to kill it, even if you are protecting this with taunts. So there are better ways to draw cards in this game than Malatai Tauntaun.
That's a good comparison, though. That to Acolyte, they are quite similar. Krip, what do you think?
What I've seen pretty effectively used against me is when they drop the man, what is it called? The one that gives +2/+2 to allies. It's the Rockbiter Totem, right? No, it's not.
No, +2/+2 to allies.
Flame Tongue.
Flame tongue.
Flame Tongue. Yeah.
Oh, you mean
Plus
just
two,
+2?
plus
I'm out of it.
+2,
Yeah.
Flame Tongue.
Okay. So the Flame Tongue Totem.
Man,
When
that
they
would
play
make
that,
flame tongue really good.
Amazing.
when they play the Flame Tongue and then they like run their creature into yours and you have nothing and they have a Flame Tongue.
Yeah.
You know, when that play unfolds and the Flame Tongue is still on the board, they drop like a Mana Tide, and then you're kind of screwed because, you know, if you don't kill the Flame Tongue, then you're gonna get really far behind, and you know, if you don't kill the Mana Tide, you're gonna get really far behind. So it has some synergy with other situational cards, even though it is kind of a situational card. So it's not bad as far as situational cards are concerned, but you know, you really want to limit the number of those that you have in an arena deck.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on, we got Unbound Elemental, just one of these few minion cards that actually get buffed from Overload, of all things, right? Gnimsh, what do you think?
Well, I really like this card because talking like arena-wise, the stats are probably very good because it's a 2/4 for free. So when when my opponent has a 3/3 for free, I can deal 2 damage and ping his minion with something. So the stats are very good, and it grows. It actually grows. So, and obviously in the arena you try to get some. There's a lot of good Overload cards that you can have. So it's a very decent card in the arena. And in constructed, I was valuing it much higher in the beginning, but then after playing with it, you sometimes when you play it on turn 3, you don't want to play an Overload turn 4, and it's more situational then. So in constructed, there are better cards you can play on turn 3 than this Elemental. But in the arena, probably it's a good pick.
Okay, Grip.
This card is OP. 3 drops suck.
OP.
This one doesn't suck, so it's OP.
Purely on that
Well,
fact.
There is a Cleric, which buffs,
Yeah.
you know. Oh, come on.
There's
figure it out.
Worgen, there's
you
Worgen,
never
there's
get
Cleric,
enough
there's...
clerics.
Come on.
You never get enough clerics.
Yeah, but there is a Harvest Golem.
There's Harvest Golem, there's Cleric. Yeah, there's a lot of good... There's a decent threes.
Unbound.
Not too many.
Yeah, but
Alright, Trump?
Yeah, Unbound Elemental is really good.
Yeah.
There are only a handful of 2/4s, and I believe they're all 2/4s for 3. I believe they're all class cards, and I actually can only think of Frothing Berserker, but maybe there's another. Even if that was just the case, it would still be good because 2/4 for 3 is good. And on top of that, you play it. They play a 3-mana 3/3. You play a card with Overload, and then you kill their thing, and then your Overloaded card probably kills another thing. It's really good. If you can even overload it once, it's really good. As it is, even if you have no Overload cards, it's above average. So, great card.
Yeah. Alright, good stuff. Moving on, we got another card that has Wind Fury involved with it, but it's actually a minion, so a little bit different than just having purely a spell card. Krip, what do you think about this Wind Fury card?
For some reason, when I play arena, I like never get these. Like I get maybe 1 or something. I don't know.
Wow,
if-
really? It's a common
Yeah.
card too. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but I just never seem to get it. I've played quite a few matches, so I don't know. But I think it is one of the best situational cards that you can get as a shaman. So you almost always pick it. I mean, it just makes some of your plays really crazy. Sometimes you can just push for damage. I don't know. I think it's an awesome card. It's way better than like Wind Fury, the card, because you get a creature, and
Yep.
essentially Wind Fury only costs 1 mana as well.
All right, Trump.
All right. This card I might actually value very differently than the majority of players. I think this is in the bottom 25 percentile of cards. Main reason being it's one of, as Script says, it's a situational card. In order for it to be a good situation, you generally need to have it go on a minion, which can actually either 2-for-1 your opponent's minions or be big enough to actually matter with Wind Fury. And if you don't, like say you're in a situation where your minions keep trading, which is often in Hearthstone, then you have a 4-mana 3/3 which you can't play, or you can play, but it's pretty poor to do it that way. So that's why I have it in the bottom 25 percentile.
All right, Gnimsh.
I totally agree with Trump. And actually, I've already replied to this on Reddit as well, that I don't value Wind Fury that much. So in this case, well, I'm not picking this card, only if I have to, but when my opponents play it, it's like Trump said, like they get Wind Fury on a minion, then that minion has to trade with my minion, so they like waste Wind Fury, and then they end up with a 3/3 for 4. So it's this card is okay probably, but it's below the curve. So you probably for 4 you can get a 4/5, you can get a Shielding Yeti. So even if you get Wind Fury, it's not always useful. And if you don't get Wind Fury, because like if your board is clear, it's just a bad card, and you don't want to play it. So yeah, it's like below average.
Usually the way that I see this card played is they have a Fire Elemental, and the Fire Elemental didn't die. And you're playing like board control, so you're playing against the Shaman, but then they Wind Fury the Fire Elemental, and you're at like 10 life. And suddenly the game changed from you trying to, do some damage to them to just finish them off and all that, to just starting to kill off creatures. You pretty much just lost the game completely at that point. So I don't know. It feels like such a big shift.
This card actually killed me once. Like there is a video on YouTube. I polymorph the guy, and I have like 15 health, I think. And the guy with the sheep token, he gets a Bloodlust, Rockbiter, and then this Wind Fury guy deals like a lot of damage and finishes me with the axe. So yeah, it can happen.
It can definitely happen. Yep. Next thing we have is the second weapon for the Shaman, which is another Wind Fury, another Wind Fury type of card. It's the Doomhammer. Let's see where we at. We on Trump. Trump. I think you take this one.
Looks amazing. However, it is slightly less good than amazing. That said, it's still pretty good. The main problem with it is that generally when you get to the mid to late game, which is when you play this card, it usually takes 2 attacks to finish off anything, which means you're going to be taking a lot of damage. That said, it's still usually right to hit that guy 2 times to take it out. And in that sense, Doomhammer is sort of like a 4-for-1, but boy, do you take a lot of damage doing it.
Okay. Gnimsh?
Well, it's a hammer that Thrall was using, so you double the damage, double the excitement. If you have double Rockbiter, then you get like what 6, 8, 16.
A double Rockbiter. Oh man, yeah, 16.
Yeah, double Rockbiter on this beauty, and you kill the guy in 1 turn. But anyway, like Trump said, it's an okay card. If I get it, I'm probably happy because not always I will have to trade. I can just push with damage. If I have a Rockbiter, then that's perfect. If I don't, I'm probably fine with getting that damage at that point. But it's not like I don't think like it's an amazing card. Like you get it and you're like, yeah, my deck is so good. I have Doomhammer in it. It's okay. Like it's a weapon. Weapons are always good.
Krip?
Yep. Weapons are always good. That's pretty much the thought behind this one. You do end up killing yourself pretty hard, and with 5, often a creature makes a bigger impact on the game than this weapon. It's pretty good though. I think the reason a lot of people end up with it in their deck is just because I mentioned it before. There's a lot of really crap epic cards that you can run into. And this isn't crap. Not quite.
All right, next we have Bloodlust, which could have quite a difference, I think, between Arena and Constructed. Gnimsh, what do you think of Bloodlust in both?
Okay, it's an awesome card. The thing is that in constructed, you want to have just one because your deck is controlled. You know what you have in your deck, and like you have more winning conditions than just Bloodlust. And in constructed, the board is also a bit more controlled because people have more AOE and stuff. So you only want to have one. But in the arena, I'm probably fine with two. I really need to. I really want to have one, as always. But if I want to have two, I'm not sure. Maybe. But Bloodlust is really strong because Shaman, as we've mentioned already, has hero power that can spawn totems. So you always have something on board, and in most case scenario, you have more minions than your opponent. So it can be used if you want to clear the board. It can be used to like buff your totems and clear the board. If you can push with damage, sometimes you just Bloodlust and kill them when they are not suspecting it. Like even like the Bloodlust existence is incredible because even if you don't have it in your deck, people will be afraid that you have, so they will make sometimes inefficient trades to clear your board because you might have a Bloodlust in your hand. So the card is awesome. I love it.
All right, Krip?
No, I don't know how consistent it really is. Used Bloodlust a lot. Early on when I was making arena decks, I would be like, oh, this deck doesn't have Bloodlust, it sucks. But then, like, I didn't get Bloodlust and had, like, crazy good decks. So, I don't know. I feel, again, it's too situational. I feel that you should not like this card if you don't like Windspeaker. It pretty much does the same thing. Yeah, if you have, like, 3 totems and you want to kill, like, 2 creatures, Bloodlust will do that. But generally what Bloodlust does is it either kills your opponent as a surprise or, you know, gives you a favorable trade, but you don't get a creature in the end. So, if I see Bloodlust and I see Windspeaker, I'm going for Windspeaker. So, I don't know. I don't imagine this card is really that great in Arena.
Krip actually makes a good point. That if you don't like Windspeaker, you shouldn't like Bloodlust, and I'm the same way. Which turns out that I don't like Bloodlust. I think it's bottom 25% of cards. There's very specific decks where if you were to build, like an arena, where if you were to build like almost all 1 to 4 minions, then Bloodlust would actually be really good, and I would even run 2 of them there. I have still not quite come up with a deck like that, and it's sort of difficult to actually have those cards fall as they may, but someday that'll happen, and then I'll pick Bloodlust. So basically, Bloodlust, everyone who's played enough of Hearthstone is aware that Shaman has this card, and that is why they do clear the totems, and it turns out that you can almost never use it in a good way if you're in a losing situation, unless your opponent is ignorant of the fact that Bloodlust exists, or just feeling aggressive and doesn't clear your totems. But more often than not, they clear your totems, and then Bloodlust can't do anything.
Right.
So, yeah. And if you're in a winning situation, you don't need Bloodlust to do the finisher. It's a win more card.
Okay.
So, it turns out it's terrible when you're behind, it's unnecessary when you're ahead, and if you're somehow in the very specific situation where both sides have a lot of minions, it wins games, but that's rare.
Okay. Moving on to one of the big Shaman units. It's the Earth Elemental, 7/8 at 5, obviously with some of the overload. What do you guys think of this? What do you think of this card, Krip?
Earth Elemental? What do I think? What? It sucks because all you queue into is rogues who have sap. Terrible. So, but
It's worse than the pick sap, man, as a rogue.
When I first started playing the game, I thought this was the best creature in the game, just stat-wise.
Okay.
And it probably is. I mean, yeah, there's the overload, and yeah, by 5, a lot of classes have removal, but those that don't tend to get owned. And just for that reason, it's a very, very good card. And again, epic cards, a lot of them suck. So Earth Elemental is one of the better ones. You're very happy when it pops up.
All right, Trump?
Yeah, this might be the best minion in the game. Done.
Really? Okay.
Okay, so I think arena-wise, this minion is very, very good. Like one of the best minions in the game. I totally agree.
Yep.
Because I feel like people don't pick enough hard removal yet. Like a lot of players are still learning, and even if they pick a couple of executes or hexes or polymorphs, they tend to use them early. So like they use hex on turn 3 or something, and so when you play it, like there's not much the opponent can do rather than just kill it with his minions. And in constructed, it's worse because in constructed you always have hard removal, and
Yeah.
if you are playing against a shaman, you're just expecting him to play earth elemental or fire elemental at some point. So you probably want to have an answer in your hand. And the thing with this guy is like in the arena, if even if they silence it, it's still like a 7/8, so it does nothing to it. So yeah.
So what in turn 3 would anybody use Hex on? I'm trying to figure out. I guess maybe Gall, maybe Harvest.
Raging Worgen, like people do it. They play
Oh,
Raging
wow.
Worgen, they hex
Okay.
it.
That's
They'd also
So-
hex Crusader. If they
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
deal with it.
wow.
Harvest
Okay.
Golem.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Next up, Fire Elemental. Let's see. Who do we have going with this one? I think Trump, you're first.
Sure. How strong your Shaman deck is typically ends up on how many fire elementals you have in your deck. This card is absolutely insane, and it is the best arena basic / common minion across any class.
I think that's fair.
And I
Yeah.
actually would say it's the best common / basic of any class. Like if you were playing any class in the game and you could pick any card, Fire Elemental would be the card you want to pick.
Yeah. I can't think of anything better.
I hex my own Earth Elemental to get a ton.
Gnimsh, what do you think? Fire Elemental.
Yeah, I think Fire Elemental is a bit OP at the moment. So for 6 you get a 6/5, where 5 is a bit of a magical number because most of the cards deal like up to 4 damage.
Mhm.
So it's really hard to kill it. And then it even deals 3 damage on top of it. And it's not like 3 damage to a minion, you can deal 3 damage whatever you want. So this card is, in most cases, like you play it, you clear the board, and you have a 6/5 that's hard to kill. So it's totally like the best, one of the best those class cards in the game right now.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yep. OP. One of
Yep.
the few cards that you just pick as many as you get. So, you know it's good when it's valued at that.
Yeah. All right.
And probably if you have like 5, you can think about the 6th one, but
Think about it.
Think about the 6th one.
What?
would you pick like above 5?
Yeah, can you even play
Yeah.
5 Fire Elementals?
I would go by the Frostbolt standard. 8 is fine.
8 is fine. Wow. Okay. All right,
what?
last card.
Frostful. How is that a good card? Wait, did
Huh?
you just say you play 5 or 8?
I think you meant Lightning Bolt, right? Not Frostbolt.
No, Frostbolt. I played
sorry,
a mage.
Okay.
I played
Oh,
a
you're talking about
I used
Mage. Okay, you're not
Frostbolts,
talking
and
about
I
Frost
couldn't-
Shock. Okay, I thought you were talking
couldn't
about
play
Frost
anything.
Shock. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
mean like Ice Lance or what? No, Frostbolt is awesome.
Yeah, Frostbolt's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, last card, guys. Alakir, the Wind Lord. Man, what do you guys think of this?
Oh, is it me? Do I get to start on the legendary? I'm so excited.
I think it's Gnimsh, actually.
Oh,
Too bad.
Gnimsh could pass it to you if he wants.
I pass it to Pip.
All right,
It's all
Krip.
yours.
Krip's so
Okay.
excited.
okay.
So nice to
Okay.
Gnimsh.
It's basically an Argent Commander, except you like flip the stats. Costs more, and is Shaman only.
What the
Fine. That's it. Like,
Was that worth the pass, Gnimsh? Was that worth the pass?
well, those are my words as well. Like, please, like, hide this card. Maybe Trump, do you say anything about this card?
Chum, what do you
Yeah, no.
think?
Well, I should say if this card cost 6, it would be pretty good. It would actually be better than Argent, I would argue. Which
Yeah,
means
exactly.
that,
yes.
and if we're going to go down that lane, then it deserves to be costs, perhaps. And then, it's got taunt added onto it, so perhaps, and it's got Wind Fury, so perhaps it is worth 8. So in real talk, it's fine. It's slightly below average, though, and it's underwhelming as legendary.
I think it's important to mention here that everybody who opened this as his first legendary, I'm so sorry for you.
It's. Hey, you guys have you guys ever seen it in constructed? I don't think I've ever run into it in constructed.
I don't know. Like, we gotta think about this. Like, how big can you dream with Alakir in an arena?
I mean, it's just
It's gotta be like, you got two of those.
double rock bladder. That's what the best you can do, right? I mean,
No. You got 2 flame tongue totems. You drop it right in the middle. Okay. And then you do 2 rock biters.
yeah.
And then you do coin rock biter, and then you get that far-sighted rock biter from earlier in the game and play that, and then bam, one shot. Easy game.
I've actually seen this card being stopped by a Senjin Shieldmaster. It was so sad. So the guy had Senjin Shieldmaster on the board, and an opponent plays Alakir, attacks Senjin, loses the Divine Shield, attacks again, is left on 2 life, 2 health, and then like being killed by anything on the board.
Oh
so.
my god. Okay, that's pretty bad. Pretty bad. All right, well, anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the Shaman talk. That took a little bit longer than expected. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll just do the build a deck really quick afterward. And probably won't take too many questions today, maybe just 1 or 2, and finish it out with the giveaway. Sound good? All right, so we will be right back.